What's up? What's up, Chiniki Vlog girls? Back in another one.
Yeah.
This is part 2 of the first video we did because we thought they were kind of funny. So we're gonna do it again.
Yep, I do it again.
Shut up! I didn't ask you. I give you permission to speak, mother.
Please.
Yeah,
But I'm part of this channel.
All right. Well, no, enough with the bullcrap. Let's just get into the video. Enough with the bullshit. Let's just get into the video. Let me get to the thing. Yeah, we're ready.
Yeah, let's do
Reacting.
this.
Oh, I forgot to say it. We're
Last
reacting
week, I
to
broke up with my boyfriend,
reacting to animated horror stories part 2.
whom I
Hey,
dated for
why
3
does a
years.
man say that he
Even
broke
though we
up
weren't
with
separated,
his,
I remained in
boyfriend?
touch with him as a friend. He's a nice guy, but I just felt it wasn't working between us anymore. My best friend, Tina, suggested me to start
It's
casual
always
dating
Tina,
again.
the fat ones.
She said it would help
Tinas
to
are
get over
always the
this
fat
breakup.
ones.
To be honest,
Why is
last
her
3
leg,
years
like,
I hardly
bigger than
went out with new
entire
people or
body?
socialized that bit. Speaking about casual
I feel
dating,
so
no
bad.
app is
Why is she
appropriate
wearing
than
man
Tinder.
shorts?
At least that's what I
I
used to
told you she's
believe.
a man.
One evening after coming home from work, I sat down on my bed and registered on Tinder. After going through some guy's profile, I got bored for not finding a good match and eventually dozed off. The next day, I went back to work when my friend Tina called me. Tina said, "Jill, you know what happened this morning? Tom called me and asked me how you were doing." I kind of told him that you were back to Tinder again, to kind of give him the idea that you have moved on. I hope that wasn't too much from my side, right? Tina has always been like this, taking things on her own hand all the time. I expected something like this already, so I replied with an upset face, "Yeah, I will handle it. Bye," and disconnected the phone. I called Tom that night and apologized on Tina's behalf. Tom has always been nice to me. He said in a mature tone, "It's okay, Jill. I got your signal. I wish you the best. But whenever you need, don't hesitate to contact me. Take care." I felt bad for him, but his sense of understanding made me admire him too. A few days passed, and I went on with my life. I started going out with my friends, and sometimes with their mutual friends, for a drink or movies. One Sunday afternoon, I was chilling in my room when I received a request from a guy on Tinder. I opened his profile and started to check out his pictures. The guy wasn't that handsome, but he had a friendly face. I accepted his request, and we started chatting on Tinder. His name was Mark. He said he works in a department store close to my location.
You sound like Mark.
We kind of hit it off. It seemed he had quite similar tastes in music and food. Mark asked me out for a lunch date.
Unless they watch the first
We
video,
decided
they're
to
gonna
meet the
have
next
no
day
clue what
at a
the
local
fuck you're
restaurant.
talking
I reached the restaurant 5 minutes late and noticed
You're
Mark
right,
sitting
Dylan,
at
but
the corner
they know
table,
about Mark.
smiling at me. He seemed
about. We're gonna watch
attractive in real
29
life.
minutes.
He had a good height and charming nature. His flirtatious nature was a bit edgy for a first date, but somehow
Alright, guys,
gave
we're done with the
expression
video.
attention after a long time. The date went well, and we decided to meet again sometime.
Why does it look like he's like...
Mark started texting me regularly, and I too kept responding. One day, we were talking over the phone, as usual, when Mark asked me, "So, are you in a relationship right now?" I replied in an awkward tone, "Well, if I was, I wouldn't be talking to you all this time," and laughed a bit to loosen up the conversation. Mark didn't respond to my joking tone and said, "Love has become a joke these days, you know. You can hardly trust people." I realized he might have been through a really bad breakup, but I chose to stay out of his personal affairs.
Oh, you're retarded. He
With more
broke up
days
with you.
passing,
What are you
Mark
talking
always tried to
about?
slip into our conversations, and how heartbreak is the worst thing to do to anyone. I felt bad for him, but we kind of came a bit close. One day, Mark asked me to go on a dinner date with him. He came to pick me up from my house. As I got into his car, I could smell booze on him. He didn't look drunk, but he told me he went for a few drinks earlier. It didn't worry me, because he was on his best behavior so far. He was driving carefully too. Around 9 p.m., we reached the restaurant. We sat down and ordered the food. Mark said while smirking at me, "Hope you won't mind if I order some drinks." I actually didn't mind because it was good to see him having fun. not a single time he talked about relationship issues. Instead, he was very much flirting with me. I was blushing with his compliments. He drank 4 pegs of whiskey in just half an hour. Finally, I got a little bit worried and said, "You have to drive also. Don't forget that." Mark looked at me. His eyes got stuck at mine. The way he stared suddenly creeped me out. Then he said, "Jill, I really like you. I would like to take you home after dinner." It has been quite a while I am going out with him, so I kind of wanted to get close to him.
Where's the good part?
But seeing him getting so drunk, I wasn't feeling that sure. I fumbled and said, how far is your place?" He replied, "Not that far. Come on, let's go." I couldn't say no to him, even though his sudden behavior change seemed unusual to me. He got into his car and started the engine. The roads were empty. He
Why
started
is
to
the
speed up the
RPMs
car.
in the red?
I got scared and said, "Mark, please drive slowly. You're scaring me." He looked at me and then started to chuckle,
Why?
as if I said something very stupid. After leaving the town, we got onto a dusty road. I said, "I didn't know you live in the outskirts. How far now?" Mark replied in a low but firm voice, "Almost near." We reached in front of a wooden house after 10 minutes. The house appeared quite old and out of maintenance to me. The entire house was in darkness. We got down from the car, and Mark said in a mocking voice, "Welcome to Lion's Den." He started to chuckle in the same manner. I thought it was all because of the alcohol in his stomach. As we got inside, Mark switched on the light. The house was really old. I could see a layer of dust on the couch and furniture in the living room. He took me upstairs. There was a bedroom and bathroom upstairs. The bedroom also appeared unclean and smelly. It felt like no one had cleaned the room for a while. Mark told me to sit on the bed and went to the kitchen. I waited for a few seconds when suddenly I saw something shining under the pillow. As I lifted the pillow, my heart sunk in horror. There was a sharp knife under it. I immediately got up and tiptoed to the kitchen. As I peeked inside, I saw Mark mixing something into a glass of wine. Is this guy planning to drug me and then slit my throat? Oh God, I made a huge mistake. I was out of the idea. There was no way I could get out of this house because Mark locked the door using his house key. It felt strange for me then, but I didn't care about it earlier. God, how stupid am I said to myself.
Kill him.
Mark lifted 2 glasses on his hand and started walking towards the bedroom. I already came to the bedroom before he could realize that I had understood his vicious plan. He got inside and looked at me with his wide eyes and smiled. His face was looking all evil. He then said in a spine-chilling, cold voice, "Here's your drink, Jill. Enjoy." I knew there's no way I can fight this guy and get out of this house alive. So a plan came to mind. I said, thanks. Hey, can I use your bathroom for a sec?" Mark replied, "Of course, but don't make me wait too long," and smirked at me. I got up and went to the bathroom. As soon as I locked the bathroom door, I dialed my ex-boyfriend, Tom. He picked up the phone and said, "What a surprise, Jill. So what's..." But before he could finish, I replied in a broken but low voice, "Please help me. This guy's trying to kill me. I need your help, Tom," and started whimpering. Tom replied in a panicked voice, "Oh shit, where are you? Share me your location." I shared with him my live location, and Tom said, "Listen, Jill, just hold on for some time. I am coming there as fast as possible." I stood inside the bathroom like a statue. I was completely freaked out and paranoid. Suddenly, a knock appeared on the bathroom door. I heard Mark's voice. "Jill, did you take something that is mine?" Mark said. My hands turned cold. Oh my God, this guy now knows. He hasn't figured out that I've taken his knife with me. Mark started to bang on the door. "Come on out, doll. I have planned a romantic night for us. Don't make me force you." The bathroom door was made of half glass and half wood. Hence, I could see Mark's figure leaning on the glass. He almost stuck his entire face on the glass and said, Jill, don't make me force you. Come out and give me my knife back. I started screaming and crying. Please let me go. But what Mark did next shook me from the inside. He started banging on the glass with his head. Cracks started to appear on it, and blood splattered on the glass too. He was hitting the glass like a maniac, with his head screaming, "Open, open now." Suddenly, I saw Tom calling me. I picked up the call, and Tom said, "I'm here. Where are you?" I was in no position to explain further. I rushed to the bathroom window, and luckily it was open. Without giving it a second thought, I jumped. I hurt my ankle, but I saw Tom standing in his car on the road. I sprinted to him and got inside his car. I screamed with the top of my lungs, "Drive, Tom. Drive now." He drove the car away, and that night I took sleeping pills to sleep. Tom stayed back with me. It's been a few days since this incident. Last night, we sorted things out and are back together again.
Oh, this
I
is
can't
why you
trust
don't
any
get on
unknown
Tinder.
guy anymore. Tom is taking a shower right now in my bathroom. But suddenly a text has come to his phone. Reply from an unknown number. The text reads, "Got the payment. Thanks." It is a reply to a text that Tom sent to this number. Tom has texted this number last night. Got her back. Thanks for all the help. Sent you the money.
A few years ago, I did something terrible. Sometimes I really wish I didn't. Something I can never take back, honestly. It all started when my girlfriend, well, ex-girlfriend, broke up with me. I know this might seem trivial and just a part of life as growing up as a person. However, unfortunately for me, it had a complete reverse effect. I know all you think I'm childish and I just needed to take it on the chin and deal with it. You might be right, but I didn't. I helped her with everything within her life.
Why is his eyes moving like
I
that?
wasn't going to allow that to
I
happen.
don't know if I can
unpunished.
watch this, bro. His
I know it
voice.
was petty and it was wrong. But you have to understand I was desperate. I was hurting. It honestly felt as though my heart was aching. It was throbbing so hard I honestly thought at any point I would explode. I know that sounds dramatic and I'm honestly not looking for sympathy. I'm not the victim here. Well, not anymore. I made sure of that. I honestly could feel my body shaking with rage, so I got up with hatred and darkness in my heart, and I booted up my laptop. I wasn't a stranger to the dark web. I've spent countless hours trying and failing to navigate it to help with my boredom. I only ever found the usual rabbit holes, falling into the typical drug and honey trap sites and forums. I just wanted for her to hurt. I wanted her to feel the embarrassment I had felt and suffered at her hands. My original plan, although very distasteful and wrong, wasn't malicious. It wasn't violent in any way. I just wanted to humiliate her. I still had photos and videos from our time together. You know, personal videos and photos of her. And in my pent-up anger and depressed state, I thought it was a good idea to use these against her. I see now I was wrong from the start, but I wish I had only done that. As awful as it seems, that was nothing to what I actually did. I kept digging and digging, clicking link after link until eventually I clicked on the link and I found something that caught my attention. It was a forum called the Naughty List. On the site was a question. Do you know someone who has been bad? If so, maybe you should put them on the Naughty List. Perfect, I thought. This has got to be it. I upload all my personal photos and videos on there. And maybe link her social media, and we'll see who's laughing then. I thought about adding her address, but she was back living with her family. And even I drew the line there. The form wasn't what I expected, though. You couldn't just upload to their homepage. There were different sections on it, or punishments as they called it. I remember thinking how dramatic it was, how dumb and naive I was. There were several different sections. Elf on the Shelf, Crumpet's Krantz, and Frozen Fields, among others. It kind of made me chuckle, I guess. That's why I just didn't think it was anything serious. Anyway, with the section, Elf on the Shelf kind of made me crack a smile. But that's not what I went with. I chose something called Slay Snatcher. I don't know why, I just did. It was kind of funny to me. After clicking on it, I had to wait a good minute and a half before this bright white page loads up, filled with a few black text boxes, and a text that read, Santa is waiting for this write-up. Write up his naughty list. Please fill in the details and he'll do the rest. I thought to myself, that's cute. I just thought it was kind of stupid, but I filled it in regardless. It was name, age, and birthday, and links to the person's social media. It was all there. Everything I was so desperately looking for, and of course, photo uploads. Jackpot, I remember smiling to myself, halfway cackling in the process. It wouldn't allow me to upload any
Bro, who's
videos,
the guy
but the
telling the
photos
story?
were more than enough
Is
for
it
me.
the guy with the wine
It was hot
bottles or
girl
him?
summer type pictures, if you know what I mean.
What do you mean?
It also asked for the person's address, but
What?
as I
He
previously
is the
said,
guy with the wine bottle.
I wasn't
No,
really
that
about
was
to go
like
that
a guy
far,
with like a beard.
but I did right in her hometown,
He may have just
our
cut you,
hometown.
but it's the same guy.
Something I
Oh,
really wish I didn't do. After I had finished putting in her information without even a moment's hesitation, I clicked submit. After a few seconds, a little text box appeared asking, "Are you sure?" Santa won't forget. He checks that list twice. All names are final. I smugly pressed yes, and that was that.
John Adams.
Perfect, I thought, until I
Is he a
was
president?
redirected to another page. It took a few minutes to upload, but when it did, it caught me off guard. It simply said, "Thank you for submitting the naughty list. We really appreciate it." I had achieved my goal. I thought, job done. It's all uploaded. People will see them and message her on social media. Then she'll be humiliated. Feeling better about myself, I calmly and confidently shut down and wiped everything correctly, making sure I couldn't be traced or implicated in any way. The next morning, I woke with the biggest and most disturbing smile I've ever produced. I was so pleased with myself, looking back on it
See,
now.
that's the guy.
It honestly makes me feel sick. I couldn't wait to see the fruits of my labor. I was so excited to see her
Because that
suffer.
guy looks like he's in his
I wanted to
50s.
break her, and for her to feel as worthless as she had made me feel. To my absolute dismay and disappointment, nothing happened. I waited and I waited, but nothing. No angry phone calls or texts. No outraged social media posts. Nothing at all. I thought maybe at
See,
first
after
she
that
could
guy
have been
kills her-
trying to ignore it. Or maybe she reported the abuse and had been told not to engage any potential troll or creeper. I mean, surely it worked, right? I mean, there's no way I could check. I couldn't find that link again, even if I tried. Anyone who surfed the deep web or dark web would know this is true. It's just not cataloged, it's a mess. And I only stumbled across it by chance in the first place. I wish I hadn't. So a few more days go by, and by now my excitement was faded. And I feel dejected and genuinely upset that it clearly hadn't worked. No one could be so calm if it had worked. And I couldn't exactly ask her to go check. That would just point the finger straight at me. So after a while, I just gave up. In truth, the whole ordeal was now tiresome to me. And as sad as it sounds, it has strangely made me feel better. Like I hadn't gotten it all out of my system somehow. A few more days later, I was awoken to a loud knock on my door. Previous drama of my former relationship had completely escaped my mind at this point. And just for some context, I live alone and don't get many visitors at all. So I was more annoyed than curious to see who was at my
hold up.
door.
He entered his name, I think. So what if he entered his own name to kill himself? Because it did say John Adam, and that's no.
But you can
girl.
imagine my shock when I flung open my door to be greeted by the stern faces of two police officers. Shit, I thought to myself, this is it, I'm going to prison. Everyone is going to think I'm some kind of freak, which I guess in all fairness, I was at the time. They asked to come in, and I of course obliged. I said, come on. I remember thinking at the time, they've only asked me to come in.
You always ask.
As of right now, I'm not under arrest or anything, so I better see what they want. But what they asked me
You should have
completely
asked
and
if they
utterly
have
knocked
a
the wind out
warrant
of
to
me.
come in his house.
When was the last time you
And
saw
I'll
a
just say,
Katie?
sure, come in my house.
I was speechless, and for a second, I must have looked like the most guilty and suspicious person in the world. Realizing this, I quickly shook the look of surprise and dread off my face, and answered as calmly as I could muster. Not since we broke up, around 2 weeks ago. This was true, but it didn't save me from the barrage of intense scrutiny and questioning. Where were you on the night of? I told them the truth at home. Can anyone verify this? I said, no. I live alone, but I get dropped off at home after work by one of my colleagues, which is routine after every shift, so I can, I guess. And what time was this? I told him the truth around 10:30, and the cameras at work would show me leaving at around 10:20, and it's only about a 10-minute drive here. Did you leave your property at any other point after you returned? No. I told the cops that there's a camera by the apartment's entrance that will show I'm telling the truth. His face, intense stare, and concentration until my eyes seemed to waver and loosen slightly.
What if
So
they
I thought
found
I'd push my luck and
a
ask what
camera
this was
of
all
him
about.
doing that stuff on his laptop?
He stated that although he can't give me details on an ongoing investigation, Katie had been reported missing. She was last seen by her mother leaving their home to shop and browse the stores but never returned. The police officers left soon after that and actually thanked me for my time. They did check the CCTV and with my boss and colleague who confirmed my story and that I was telling the truth. Days turned into weeks and still nothing. It seemed as though she just had vanished into thin air. I couldn't believe it. It couldn't have been because of me. I thought maybe it's possibly some creep stalked her socials and found her address after I posted them along with the images, but surely it had to be a coincidence. That stupid forum couldn't be real. It said Santa's naughty list. That definitely couldn't be real. The longer it went on, the more horrible I felt. I know I wasn't physically responsible, but in one way or another, I had caused this, or at least put the wheels in motion. I felt just as guilty as if I had done something to her. I mean, this is the girl I once loved, the girl I still love, and I had done this. I had caused this for her poor mother. They had been estranged for years. I tried to get on normally with my life, but it was hard.
Why is his
I
eyes
couldn't
so
sleep.
red?
I couldn't eat. And you know something? I knew I deserved it.
Why is his nails so
I
white?
would cringe every time I caught
Wear
myself
nail
feeling
polish?
sorry for myself.
Probably.
I took to drinking to make myself sleep. Anything to numb the pain, anything to get the image of her face and the sounds of her screams out of my head. I couldn't go to the police, but how could I? If I confessed, my life was as good as over. As selfish as it was, I just didn't believe it would even help to find her if I did. Maybe I was just being a coward, but it was hopeless. She was gone. I waited every morning for an update. I would always call the police station to get an update. It was torture until one day. They did find her. But as I'm sure you all can already tell, this story doesn't have a happy ending. But she was eventually found in an old abandoned factory in the outskirts of the next town over. I just couldn't believe it. I could feel my throat tighten to the point I was struggling to breathe when I heard the news. In my head, I was begging and pleading with whoever or whatever. It must be some kind of mistake, a mix-up. It couldn't be because of me. But unfortunately, it was no mix-up. She was found stuffed in a chimney. Her body was inside a sack, a toy sack. I couldn't believe it. I felt sick. This must be some kind of sick joke. I kept trying and failing to convince myself. I felt my body tremble. She had been there for a while, and you could tell by looking at her. They knew it was her because stuffed into her eye socket was a small piece of paper that read, "Naughty list. Katie, you should have been good." I blacked out, and I collapsed where I was standing, and I hit my head pretty hard. When I regained consciousness, I hoped, I prayed it was just a bad dream. But of course it wasn't. It was real. It was all real. I'm a simp. Nothing will ever make up for the torture I subjected a girl I once loved and cherished. All because of my own ego and misguided sense of pride and self-worth. I wish I could take it all back.
Yes, and there I don't need to listen to Billy Bob's rest of his story.
Katie should have been good.
Chillin', bro. You're lucky this is fake.
White people, am I right?
I don't know who killed her
I
now.
wonder if that eyeball soup was
Wow.
good. What about how many toys did she gain from that?
Bro, can you shut up, Dylan? I know who killed her now.
Who?
That one girl in the forest. And now she got me off.
Yeah, yummy.
Alright, well that's gonna be it for today's video.
Go watch part 1 if you haven't.
Yeah, please do not. Alright,
Did you say do not?
no, I thought you were gonna hit me. Go watch part 1 or else I'm gonna kill you.